Today, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about manipulation tactics of a manipulative person, a narcissistic person. The type of person that a lot of you are dealing with. And specifically, I don't want to get into too much detail with anything, but what I want to talk about is going to the goal for me today is to basically just to get you to kind of reflect on your past relationship with this person and then your relationship with this person moving forward. And I want you to kind of try to look at the ways that they or one way in particular that they manipulate, because then I want you to be not only aware of it moving forward, but I want you to be able to look back and think, yeah, like that's exactly the kind of shit that they were doing. They're probably going to be trying to do it to me in the future, and I want you to be ready for it. Okay. So when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, who, we all know that there are basically two sides to a narcissistic person. There's the, holier than thou, stand up on the pedestal, me. I'm the greatest thing in the world. You're a piece of shit. The whole thing. And then there's the whole other one. It's the basically the victimization, the victim type person. Why do you always do this to me? Why are you trying to do this to me? I can't believe you're this kind of person. And what they do, as we know, is they flip back and forth to try to basically manipulate you or anyone else in their life, really. And the problem that a lot of you guys are dealing with, you're having so much trouble with that is because you're good people, and you're good people with big hearts. And when you're a good person and you have a big heart, number one, you can fall in love pretty hard and fall pretty quickly and try to look past faults. And number two, you're very trusting. And the problem is when you overlook faults, what happens is it's not like a situation where like you're happy, you're madly in love with someone, and then all of a sudden they do something so devastatingly bad that it's like unacceptable, and then you can leave, right? That's not how it happens. It's a slow trickle. And here's why they do it. And you need to know this moving forward too. Basically, someone who's manipulative like that, they're in basically the game. It's basically like intermittent rewards. And what happens is those rewards start off very large and larger. They're doing nice things for you, taking you out to nice dinners, taking care of you, cooking you dinner, all of the nice things that people do in a relationship. Well, what happens is they then start to test the waters of pulling back those the instant gratifications and make it more like intermittent gratifications, right? So instead of let's say it's like money. Let's say that cooking you dinner, taking you out to a nice dinner, taking you to the movies, buying you nice things, taking you nice places, whatever. Let's use a currency for that. Let's say that they start off by giving you $100 bill, $100 bill, $100 bill, $100 bill. Well, then some time's going to pass, and then they're going to throw you a $50 bill, right? And again, I don't mean actual money. I'm just saying like they cut it in half. So they cut it in half. And what they're doing when they cut it in half like that, they're trying to test you. They're trying to test you, what will keep you coming back. They're trying to test to see how low you will go. Because then 50 once a week turns into 20 every 2 weeks. Okay. And then down to 5. And then when you get down to 5, wait a second, this isn't right. Something's wrong. And then they pick up on that you're like about ready to retreat or leave the relationship or make changes. Then they'll bump it back up to the 20, and then to the 50, right? And it's a game like that. It's a flowing game like that until they can find out exactly how little you will accept to basically be under their control, right? And the problem is that happens so much over time. And then you have a child with this person. So then you throw in the elements of guilt, pure raw emotion, love that cannot be explained, at all. Love for your children. You throw that in, and then the manipulation is a million times more powerful, right? Because not only do they continue to do that little intermittent gratification game and testing your lows, but then they also play off of all of those emotions that I just talked about with the child, your relationship with the guilt, playing up on the guilt, right? Yeah, Venetian, they'll manipulate the kids too. But the reason, one of the big reasons why they're manipulating the kids is also to control you. How do we stop this? How do we break from this, right? Well, there's a couple different schools of thoughts out there. Some people might tell you, to protect yourself, to take precautions to keep yourself distance from the person. And that's true. That's true. You do want to keep a distance from them. And like Bryn says, stop engaging too. But more importantly, what I want you to think about is to learn to basically understand that you are not, you yourself are not the person that is speaking the words in your head when it's happening to you, right? And you are not the person that's feeling the pain when it's happening to you, right? Think of it this way. That's basically your physical body and your subconscious, right? Or your conscious, right? But that is not really you. You are the person, bear with me here for a second. You are the person that is observing all of that stuff. You are the person that is watching and feeling the pain. You are the person that is listening and hearing and seeing that those inner thoughts are coming from someone else, right? And when you look at it that way, you can kind of separate yourself from that angst and that pain and that emotion and that river that they're forcing you to go down. And then instead of completely shielding yourself from everything, if you were just accepting the fact that they cannot harm you, they cannot harm your soul, they cannot manipulate your attitude, they cannot manipulate what's going on in your brain if you understand that those words are not you. They cannot do it. They cannot touch it. And if you can get yourself to a point of doing that, which is the way you do that basically is to always catch yourself, right? Always catch yourself to when you start thinking, like when you guys all know what I'm talking about, that feeling in your stomach or in your heart when like they're starting to manipulate you. You feel that like heat, that like, but it's not a good heat. It's like a stabbing pain, like heat, right? You need to take a deep breath, realize what's going on, realize that's not you, realize they don't control you, realize what they say about you or what their friends say about you or what anyone says about you. That doesn't mean anything to you, right? You take a step back and you calm that and you let it go. You let it go. You don't try to bottle it up. You don't try to protect yourself. You don't try to do the old fight or flight thing where you fight or you leave, you bounce. You don't try to do that because it changes your character. It completely changes your character. Not only that, but what I always say is it's going to F your brain up so bad, you're not going to be able to prepare for court. You're not going to be able to get through the modules to learn the rules of evidence and the objections and how to testify and how to deal with cross-examination. You're not going to be able to do any of that shit because you're going to be a freaking fish out of water because you're letting this person continue to manipulate you instead of being able to take that step back to understand that they can't touch you inside. They absolutely 100% cannot. And if you are one of those people that still have somewhere in your heart, and I know it might not be anyone on this live, but it might be someone listening to replay that still has some sort of somewhere in the pit of your subconscious feelings for this person. Not that you want to get back with them, but you still have that like feeling, that feeling for them. Look at everything that they have done over the course of time, from when you guys were in your relationship when things were good all the way until things got bad, and then when you severed, and now in this whole monotonous battle in your custody case. And remember that every time you start to think for a moment to grant that person grace and sympathy. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't grant them grace and sympathy. It's okay to do that, but it's not okay to do that in a way that puts yourself in a bad position, right? If you're going to grant them grace, do it in a way to free your own mind and to clean up your own emotions and your own feelings, right? Don't do it in a way like that you're going to put yourself out there for them or that you're going to let them take advantage of you, right? A forgiving can be a cleansing for yourself, okay? Forgiving doesn't mean you want anything to do with the person. Forgiving doesn't mean you want to get back with the person. Forgiving doesn't mean that you need to like sacrifice something for the person. It's just a cleansing for yourself, for your soul, for your heart, for your mind. Okay. Kind of rambled there for a little bit. I hope that makes sense, because it's why I start the program with mindset. And it's why I structured the program the way that I did with mindset and communication and then the preparation. It's because if you cannot do that part of it, then when it comes down to getting into the nitty gritty and getting ready to go into court, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a lot more difficult than if you can. If that makes sense.